Okay, here's a wild story. Back when I was in my first year of university, no GPA yet, no fancy resume, literally nothing to my name, I somehow landed an internship at Deloitte. And do you want to know what got me there? It wasn't connections, it wasn't grades, we didn't even have our GPA yet. It was a self-recorded HireVue interview. That was it. Just me, a webcam, and good vibes. In fact, the team that I worked with ended up telling me that they were watching these HireVues with popcorn in a conference room. That 15-minute recording of me literally kickstarted everything. Let me show you. Deloitte, that internship that I was mentioning, for sure. Then Adobe in Silicon Valley, the internship that you'll see here to the right, and a bunch of opportunities after that. Every conference I've gone to and been accepted to, every work achievement, every milestone has come out of that first internship, which came out of that HireVue. And so trust me when I say your HireVue, doing well at it, mastering it, really matters. I say this because you don't have to do it the hard way. I have failed at HireVues miserably, okay? That first one went really well, but I have done HireVues where I've failed miserably, and it's because I didn't know the stuff that I'm going to share with you today. Since those HireVue failures, I have learned a lot. I have done a lot of HireVues, worked with people who have done HireVues, done the research for you, looked into the Reddits and the Glassdoors and the Fishbowls, did all of that. And in this video, I want to share it all with you so you don't do it the hard way. And so you ace your HireVue. And so let's just level set for 10 seconds before we get into it, okay? HireVues, most people hate or dread them, and I definitely did. That said, before we get into any of this, I want you to view a HireVue and a self-recorded interview as a positive thing, because that is going to make all of the difference. It is literally good news. Like, the fact that you got invited to a HireVue means you've made it past the first round of screening. So after watching this, my goal is that you'll feel so confident that you'll not only do well, but you'll be excited to prep, and you'll just be in a situation where you cannot wait for your HireVue time. And so get a drink, sit down, get comfortable, whatever it is. Let's get through those slides and show you how to ace your HireVue. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is how it works. A lot of companies are now using virtual pre-recorded video interviews for first round screenings. And it's in finance, it's in tech, it's in consulting, it's even in retail, okay? And so HireVue is the most popular tool that they're using to do this. Usually, these consist of 4 to 5 predetermined behavioral questions. So it's not a live interviewer. There's no one on the other side of this. Your responses are usually recorded and analyzed by AI. And before you get stressed about AI and a computer making a decision, let's actually get into what this means, okay? So the AI component is essentially an evaluation of the transcript of what you said, almost all of the time. So what happens is an AI evaluates responses based on traits that the employers prioritize. You'll see a few in the screenshots here. But what this means is if the employer says they want good communication or teamwork, essentially what the AI is going to do is it's going to look in the transcript of what you said and see if there's any indications that you would be good on a team, if you brought up collaboration, for example. And so it's mainly about that versus anything else. Like, the AI is not analyzing your facial movements. There's no creepy anything going on. All right. And so how you win at these, how you stand out, how you do well, is removing uncertainty as much as possible so that the vibes are good. That is literally it. And so let's get into what this means. We as humans fear the unknown. Like, it's just a thing. We're going to be stressed and anxious if we don't know what is to come or if there's uncertainty around an outcome. And so my goal with this whole video, but specifically this part of it, is to de-stress you by giving you the behind the scenes of how HireVues work, and then share with you how you can prepare as much as possible, because then you've removed both types of uncertainties. The uncertainty of how the thing works and the uncertainty of what you're going to say and how you're going to act during the thing. And so once those two uncertainties are removed, the vibes are going to be just 10 times better because there's no more uncertainty, or much less. And so let's just talk about that prep part. The only homework you have to do on your end after watching this whole video and taking notes is researching the questions in advance. So that's the only thing you have to do. And what that looks like, I'll even tell you how to do it, is that you go to Glassdoor or Fishbowl or Reddit. Those are the 3 main sources I've found to be the most useful in most situations. And you search for specifically people's experience with HireVues at the company you're interviewing for. And so, for example, for Deloitte, I would go to the Deloitte company page on Glassdoor. I would go to interviews, and I would see the comments that people were leaving, not just the reviews, but the comments about what questions were asked during the HireVue process. Most of the time, you'll find at least a few questions posted verbatim. So you'll know exactly what question they're going to ask, and you'll at least have that in your list in advance. But if you can't find anything, and this might even be good practice if you have extra time, you can go to ChatGPT or even Perplexity to simulate interview questions. Give it the description of the job, so the job description, or the description of the internship you're applying for and being interviewed for, and ask it to ask you some questions that could be asked in a HireVue make sure to give it some context, like explain what a HireVue is, maybe in detail. Tell it that you were expecting, this many questions. Tell it the time frame that you were given or informed would be the one that the HireVue is going to take, and it should give you some interesting context or practice questions. You also want to know your format really, really well. So most of the time it's about like 20 or 30 seconds to think about an answer after you've seen the question. And you usually have 3 minutes to record a response. That's really up to 3 minutes. Like some companies will do 30 seconds, some companies will do a minute, some will go all the way up to 3 minutes. This varies by question too. And often you'll have multiple attempts. And so really, if I did anything with this one slide, what I want you to remember here is to de-stress. We have removed the uncertainty of how the thing works. It is a human reviewing these most of the time. The AI component is not analyzing every facial movement. It is just looking at your transcript and what you said in comparison to certain traits. And I have given you the roadmap for how you can prepare and find the exact questions you're going to be asked. So there's almost no more uncertainty. Again, with that preparation, what I want to really emphasize is that it's not just about the questions. It's very important to prepare, and the questions are the first step, but you can prepare even more. And it's pretty straightforward. Like, I don't want you to feel like it's a lot of work. The first thing you want to do is research the company and adapt accordingly. And what that means is that you want to look at the culture first off. Is it a very formal company? Is this Goldman Sachs or like a finance firm where you want to be in a suit during your interview? Or is this a tech firm? You also want to understand the product and service of the company you're interviewing for really, really well. I know this might seem like a lot of research for just the HireVue, but getting this right will already make you stand out compared to 90% of people, because that's effort that they weren't willing to put in. If you don't put it in though, you're automatically out of that 10% top whatever percentage that is making it to the next round and meeting an actual person. So the vibes have to be right, and that's the de-stress part, but the preparation needs to be there so you actually have substance to present, and so you honestly feel better and more confident as well. So look into what this company does exactly. What are the features of their product? Who mainly uses their product? What's their target audience? All that good stuff. And if it's a service, same thing. You also want to learn maybe briefly about the company history. This can be useful to bring up in certain responses to show that, you're a fit. Next, one tip for your preparation is that once you have the questions you're expecting to get, whether it's through Reddit, Glassdoor, or even ChatGPT, you want to prepare stories, not scripts, for your answers. And what this means is that you want to have bullet points of experiences that you think answer each type of trait they might be looking for, each type of question, or just your strengths overall. What I did, and what I've seen work really well, is having just 3 to 4 stories that show different parts of you that you can adapt very easily. So for example, if you have a story about how you led a club in university, or if you have a story about how you managed a difficult coworker, both of those stories can show more than one thing. The club situation can show leadership, it can show collaboration, it could show taking initiative, it can show hard work, whatever it is. And so there's a lot of traits that can come out of a single story. So don't feel like you have to have 20 stories memorized, even if they are bullet points. You don't even have to have that many. And you can refer back to these pretty easily regardless of the question, which is why it's great to have stories and not scripts and bullet points. Next, you want to use the STAR method. I won't get into this too much because it's pretty straightforward, and if you've seen any career advice, you probably know what this is. But what this means is that you want to start with the context of your story, so the situation. Next, you want to get into the task, so what you were responsible for directly within that larger context. The action, what you did, what you partook in doing, and then the result. So really quantify if you can, but also even qualitatively say, the customer was really happy, this was resolved internally, or this much percent improved, or whatever it is. Okay, next, let's get into tips for the day of. So this is stuff that you want to keep in mind literally for the day you have your interview. The first thing is that you want to have a peaceful environment. And so what that looks like is finding a quiet place with strong Wi-Fi. You want to dress appropriately for the job. So we talked about researching culture before. If this is a company where everyone is wearing suits, you want to be in your suit during this. But if this is a company where no one wears suits and they're all in t-shirts, maybe you dress up a little, you have like a little collar, but you don't want to be overdressed either. You want to essentially match the job and wear what you would wear at work. Next, you want to test your setup with a practice round. And so you can go to the HireVue website. They have some practices online too that you can do, but you can literally just open Photo Booth on your Mac and see what you look like and, just do a vibe check and make sure everything's working well. Make sure the audio is good as well. If you're going to use earphones, make sure they're connected. AirPods sometimes disconnect from Bluetooth. So make sure all of that is working. Your tech is good. Your environment is set up. You look good. You feel good. And that's the main thing. Next on the day of is, I call this boss mode, but you want to be natural and confident. And what that means is that you want to pretend like you are FaceTiming a friend. You want to make it feel like it's something you do all the time. And it's not a shocker, but a lot of us talk to the camera all the time. And so if you FaceTime friends a lot and you're used to that, be in that mentality. Sometimes they have the option in the HireVue to hide yourself view so you don't see yourself while you're talking. I think that can be a good thing because it can be very distracting to have your face blown up on a screen, especially if there's no one else's face to look at. So that might be something you look into. You want to also maintain eye contact, and that means you're not just not staring at yourself, but you're also staring around where the webcam is. So in the middle of your screen, top middle of your screen. What you can do for that is sometimes resize your window and bring it to the middle so it's like near that webcam. So if you are looking at the screen, it doesn't seem too far off. That's a little tip there. And then lastly, you want to speak clearly and avoid fillers, okay? Like, you know, I might have said some throughout this video, but you want to avoid these as much as possible. And the way you do that is to catch yourself doing it. So record, talk about your favorite video game, talk about your favorite movie, whatever, record yourself doing that. And if you hear certain fillers over and over again, like write them down. And then for those where you're repeating it a lot, make a conscious effort to not say those. One tip is usually don't feel like awkward silences are bad. They actually show that you're thinking. So it is much better to take a moment to pause and reflect, and it'll show that you're thinking about what you're saying and your words versus just moving super quickly and saying like and and all of that. If you do need to buy time, one tip I can give you is that you can always repeat the question back or even mention parts of the job description to show that you have an understanding of the role. So if I'm being asked about a situation where I exhibited teamwork and I'm blanking on those stories that I prepared, and maybe I just need a little mental second to think about it, what I can do is be like, I understand that teamwork is very important for this role. I've actually done my research into the company and I've seen that you guys have a very collaborative culture or whatever it is. Like, say this better than I just did, but you can do that and it buys you time. So that's maybe a tip for you. Okay, the last one for the day tips. You want to be very human. If there's one thing you take away from this whole video, it is this. You want to convey humanness, warmth, confidence, of course, and professionalism, but humanness and warmth before anything else. When it comes to delivering your HireVue messages and speaking about your stories and all of that, you want to sound natural. And sounding natural and maybe getting 50% of your message across is 100 times better than sounding robotic and scripted, but getting all of your points across. That is just how humanity works. We want to work with real people. We want to work with chill people. We want to work with understanding, empathetic, supportive people. So that is really a huge thing. And the way you do that is 3 small things. Like we said, first, don't script, tell stories. You can even add like light jokes if it's appropriate and if you think the culture of the company vibes with it. But stories are the best way to get your message out in your own words versus using a script. Next, you want to smile, and you want to smile naturally. You don't want to force it. The best way to do this is to just start with a big smile before recording and then start with a smile when you hit record. So get yourself in that, good moods, adjust your brain chemicals. It's just a trick, and I think it's been science-backed, where it gets you in a good mood and you don't have to feel like you're forcing a smile throughout the whole thing. You just started with a smile, so you've communicated that good mood, good vibes, and you can just continue with it without forcing a smile throughout the whole thing. Lastly, you want to show passion and belief in what you're saying. When you do those stories, when you prepare for this HireVue, make sure you believe in everything you're saying. Don't exaggerate things too much. Don't say things you feel like you have to say but don't necessarily agree with. Hot takes, like moments when you're like really believing in what you're saying, where you're like, I have a hot take about this one thing and I want to get this message across and I can talk about this for hours. Those are the best moments where your humanity shines through, because that's when you care about something so much that you don't need a script. You don't need to sound robotic because it's coming straight from like here and here, like whatever it is. I'm sure you've had this situation even talking to people, talking to friends, talking to family, talking to coworkers, where the conversation lights up when you talk about a certain topic and you feel like every word that they're saying is coming straight from the heart, straight from the brain. And so to get to that state where you're communicating naturally, where you're passionate, where you're engaged and showing that engagement, you want to make sure you believe in what you're saying and that your stories are personal and, feel important to you. That slide is, my favorite one and I think is the most important. You have got this. Now it is the time for you to rewatch this video, maybe take some notes, but now is the time for you to prepare just those questions like we talked about. And you got this. You go get them. Go get that job. Go get that internship. Go get that application, whatever it is that you're doing the HireVue for. But I hope that this video helped you de-stress because we have shown you how it works. I hope you have a great understanding of how you're going to prep now and what the next steps are. And you got this. Go kill them. Okay, thanks for watching. And if you like this kind of video, subscribe and like and share with people in your class, if you're in university, people, coworkers, whatever, whoever's looking for a job, if this can help them, share it around. A like and a subscribe is the best way you can tell me that this was valuable, and it motivates me to create more videos. Thank you.